Our world is filled with natural wonders. As with other naturalists fueled with curiosity, I've endeavored to understand as much as I can about these wonders. A timeless and invaluable tool that most naturalists use is a journal. A journal not only helps the naturalist to reflect upon his observations, but protects the observations from the human memory, which is notorious for distorting and neglecting details. I am passionate about my studies and love to share with anybody willing to engage. This is why I create and share my nature journal. The warbler migration continues on. Here's a black and white warbler, and a black-throated green, and a pair of Cape May warblers. This bird was first captured and described in Cape May, New Jersey in 1809. Since then, it would take over a century for that bird to be recorded again in the place that it was named for. Like many other warblers, they are coming from their breeding grounds, spruce forests of Canada. Unique amongst the warbler family, Cape Mays have tubular tongues. This facilitates their main winter diet, nectar and fruit juices, down in Florida and the Caribbean islands. This is the fourth common nighthawk I've seen this fall. That's more than I've seen before in all my previous years of birding combined. I've talked to a couple of other birders who have also experienced this same phenomenon. I have no idea what's creating this trend, but I'm certainly not complaining. Common nighthawks were once much more common when we people created the perfect breeding habitat for them. Gravel, flat-topped roofs. Since we've shied away from these buildings, their populations have decreased. The large, chimney-swift-like body, the erratic, bat-like flight, and the obvious stripe on each tip of the wing makes these birds unmistakable. We've witnessed a few more olive-sided flycatchers passing through the sanctuary. They resemble another flycatcher, the eastern wood pewee, but are much chunkier, with the larger head and broader shoulders. Not to mention, they have a gray vest and a white patch that is revealed when they lower their wings just a little bit. One thing I quickly noticed is that these are the most aggressive birds around. The olive-sided flycatcher is quick to chase off any other bird near its perch, no matter how large or small. Another aggressive bird is the bluejay. And like crows, their close relatives, they stick together in flocks. And when a dangerous predator, like a sharp-shinned hawk, arrives on their turf, they show no sign of fear. They'll often chase it out. This time, it just seems that they're approaching to let it know that they know it's there. Blue jays are notorious bullies. In this scene, I had just put out a fresh batch of birdseed. Here, this downy woodpecker is unwittingly caching a peanut for later. This bluejay could have just as easily grabbed his own peanut, but he watches as the downy stores hers. And just as she's finishing up, in comes the bluejay for the steal. I believe she's thinking, did that really just happen? But she learned her lesson. This time she eats the entire peanut while keeping a spiteful eye on the bluejay. Now that we're coming into the autumn, the trees are ripe with food for the birds. There are at least 8 catbirds gorging themselves on these mountain ash berries. For a few days in a row, we had hundreds of grackles in the woods. Some were up in the trees. A few were bathing down in the creek. But most of them were foraging on the forest floor. The main item on the menu was beech nuts, a high-calorie and protein-packed food, also once favored by Native Americans and early settlers. A few days after we released a rehabilitated male kestrel, we saw one at the other side of the sanctuary. It is likely that this is the same kestrel, but it's just as likely that it's a different one, since we are in the midst of migration season. We are hoping that next year, a kestrel will take up residence in one of the nest boxes we put up last year. We just released our second screech out for the season. We saw this one for a couple of days in a row. It seemed to have an affinity for red squirrel nests. We also hope that a screech owl will nest in one of the boxes we put up this year for them. In preparations for hunting season, we've been going off trail to the borders of our property to touch up the posted signs. This bed of stones was not here last year. They were likely washed up during the major flood we had a couple of months ago. It's exciting sifting through the rocks, finding fossils that are hundreds of millions years old, hinting that once upon a time, New York was covered by a shallow sea. And glacial till hints at a more recent past of being covered by a huge sheet of ice. One morning, I was lucky enough to stumble upon this red-bellied snake. Later that afternoon, 2 more were seen. And I found this week that garter snakes are very capable swimmers. I first noticed this garter snake anchored to the bottom of the stream, head swaying in the current, just like a true water snake lies in wait for its prey. But it wasn't long before the snake surfaced, noticed me, and swam adeptly away in the opposite direction. Over the weekend, my family and I went wading through the Sequoit Creek over in New York Mills. We found some incredible life forms there, including this blue crayfish, long-nosed and black-nosed dace, and a couple that I was very excited to find. A sculpin and a fan-tailed darter. The sculpin has smooth, slimy skin and has no scales on its body. It prefers fast-flowing streams and uses these enlarged pectoral fins to grip the bottom. This little 4-inch fish can lay well over 1,000 eggs. However, once the eggs are laid, it's the male who protects them. Fan-tailed darters are another species in which the male guards the nest. The male will mate multiple females, and they will all lay their eggs in the same nest. Fan-tailed darters and their nests are usually found underneath rocks in riffle zones of streams. These are small yellow fish with a striking tail pattern. Our mission at Spring Farm Care's Nature Sanctuary is to protect wildlife and enhance habitat around central New York. We thank everybody for supporting us, and if anyone has any questions, comments, would like to learn more, or schedule a tour with us, please check out our website or find us on Facebook.